Hi, welcome to another 5-minute session, and this time it will be about the wave texture. So I press Shift A, go to texture, and here I can find the wave texture. If I use the color to the surface or if I use the factor to the surface, doesn't do so much difference. You get the same result out. So it's a black and white result out. We can have two different ways. We can have bands, which are lines, or we can have rings, which are rings. But if you use X or Y direction, it's not rings, it's more distance between the lines that are changed. But you can, in rings, select, select spherical here. And if you select spherical as direction, then you get these rings here. But we can go back to bands, and then you can see we can have an X direction, we can have a Y direction, a Z, which is the depth, so you don't see anything here, but if I had a cube, you would see that. And we can have diagonal like this. We can also have different type of visual here, so this is more sine, so it's a smooth curve that goes up and down. You can have a saw, which is more like a 0 to 1, 0 to 1 version of these lines, or you can have a triangle that is a little bit sharper than the sine is. So those are the different types of lines that you can get, and then you can change them using these parameters. Scale is of course scale. The only thing with scale here is that one will not give one line here. So just so you remember, it's a little bit different compared to the other textures where they were logical 1 to 1. Here more like 3 point something to scale of 1. Then we have distortion. So I can take up the scale first. That changes this a bit. And if we look at the distortion, detail scale, and detail roughness, they are exactly the same as the noise. So those parameter is the same, which means if I use high distortion, you will get a circular pattern. So you can see here now I get a circular pattern when I take up the distortion. The detail is how much detail you would like to have on the distortion here. So you can see it grows more in detail when you take up that. The detail scale is more the scale in this direction for the detail. So if I take that up, you can see it like shrinking and get smaller and smaller in this direction here. So that is the detail scale. The detail roughness is how sharp or how soft you would like to have it. So if you have a low roughness, then you have soft curves, and if you have a high, then you have really high detail roughness, so you have sharp edges. So that is how it works, and then you have the phase offset to move it back and forth. The thing with diagonal, I can take away some of the scale here, detail scale, and yes, we have straight line, and put the distortion to 0. The thing with diagonal here is that you can change the visual of the pattern depending on what you put into the vector. So if I just put in the UV, you don't see so much of a difference. But if I put in some math between here, you can see that there will be changed pattern on the lines here. So let's say that we do some simple vector math. So I press Shift A, go to Converter, Vector Math, and I just put in a multiplier, or I can put in a scale, for instance. So I just select a scale. If I can find it, there we have it. And then I can copy this one, put it here, and I can change this to sine, like this. You can see it gets bent right now. And if I take up the scale, you can then see that we get the sine wave from here instead of a diagonal line. So we can use this wave texture to visualize the math that we have on the vector math here. So it's a good way to show things, to use the wave texture if we want to look at how the math will be presented. So now you know a little bit about the wave texture, and my 5 minutes is now ended. So I just say bye for now and see you tomorrow.